Now that we have our skeleton built, what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to be able to make interactive buttons. And you know what? Before we do, why don't we bring in our artwork to our pages? And so page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to bring in 5. I have 4 pages. I'm going to bring in 4 pieces of artwork. And so we're going to do a Command D, which is import. Remember, we need to pull our images from the low-res portfolio. And here's image number 1. And notice how it comes in at scale, at the size that we had prepared it at. Image 2, oops, sorry, image 2, and that's a little bit bigger, so I'm going to reduce the size of it so it fits comfortably in our staging area. Image number 3, bring that in and size that down, and it could be any size you want, just so long as that it fits comfortably in your staging area. What I like to do is I like to keep everything aligned with my grid here. So I also like to be able to make these as big as possible, but not super big so that it eats up the whole page. And the 4th image, I'm going to pull in this image here and resize it. And so we have our images in. Next, I'm going to save that, and then what I want to do is I want to make my buttons active. And to do that, I'm going to go back to the master page. Now you notice when we go into the master page, it's blank. It only has my master items on there, which is what we want, and all of the images are actually on the local pages. So using my black arrow tool, I'm going to click on my first icon, which is the back button. And I'm going to go to Window, and I am going to select the interactive palette, and I'm going to go to Buttons and Forms. And a palette comes up for Buttons and Forms. I've got this, and I'm going to call it a button. It is a button, and I'm going to name it Back Button, B-U-T-T-O-N. And let's see, on release or tap, and then I'm going to click on actions, and it will give me a list of actions, and since it's the back button, I want it to go to previous page. That's all I need to do. Next is I'm going to click on the next button, or excuse me, on the next icon, which is my forward button, and since I have my palette up again, I'm going to go to type, button, call it a button, forward button, and leave that alone. On actions, we're going to go to next page, and that's set. We're going to click on the home word, and again, it's a button. And then what we're going to do is give it a name, home button. And under action, we're going to say go to first page because our first page is our home page. That is set. Next, what I want to do is I want to set my my Behance, and I want to make this a clickable button. So when they click on it, it'll take them to my Behance page. And in order to do that, what I want to do is I want to go to Chrome, and I want to bring up my Behance page, and this is the page I want them to go to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the entire URL, and I'm going to copy that, go back to my web page, and black arrow tool, select the text box, and go to buttons, select it as a button, and this time under action, what I'm going to do is go to URL. And in doing so, it's going to ask me for a URL. I'm going to select that and type in paste. I'm going to paste it in, the URL for Behance. That's set. Then I'm going to go to LinkedIn, and I've got to go back to my web page. Let me close that out, and let me find my LinkedIn page, which is here. And it's loading LinkedIn. There's my LinkedIn page. I'm going to select the URL for that. And then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go to this is selected with my black arrow tool. It's a button again. And I'm going to call this, name it LinkedIn. And under actions, go to URL, and I'm going to type in that URL, and that's it for that. And finally, and you'll notice every time I set a link, I've got a little icon here that tells me that it's an active link. Then finally, I'm going to do this with email. I'm going to select it with my black arrow tool. And it's slightly different. It's going to be a button again. And under actions, we're going to go to URL. And this time, instead of typing the HTTP URL, we're going to very simply type in mail to : space and put in your email address at troy.edu. So my email address is noriega@troy.edu. And it's mail to : space, and that should set that. Now, one thing that's going to happen here, I'm going to save that. If I go to my page 1 and I want to see what happens, nothing happens. I can't see my buttons working, none of the buttons work, and I can't go forward or none of the buttons work. So in order to see it work, what you then need to do is make sure you've done a quick save, then go to File, Export, and select Format, Adobe PDF Interactive. And so I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to call it Test Ed P FOLIOA. Oops, A, because this is my test A. And interactive. Yep, I'm going to save it on my desktop and save. And I'm going to get a prompt here. And with that prompt under viewing, what I want to do is I'm going to tell it to fit the page. I want it to see single pages, and I do want it to open in full screen mode, and I want to view it after exporting. So let's see what happens. Export, and it's asking, do I want to go to full screen mode? And we tell it yes. And here is the portfolio. Let's see if the forward button works, and look at how my icon turns into a little finger. Forward, forward, forward. Let's go home. Let's go forward, forward, back. Let's go to Behance. And it should open up my Behance page. Yep. And let's go to LinkedIn. And it should open up my LinkedIn page. It does. And let's go to email me, and it brings up an email to my email address and from me or from whomever it is, and they type in subject, and they can type in their message. We want you to come in for an interview, and send you the email. And that is how to make an interactive PDF portfolio.